historia del fútbol mundial. Y es el tercero a tocar para Borussia, siempre maradona. Genio, 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 ta, 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 ta.
To keep this alive. Messi. Alexis at the back post, but it's Messi. You getting there? Yamal jest w polu karnym. Lamine Yamal. Lamine Yamal. Co za spokój, co za dotknięcie bilardowe.
Professional footballers are amazing to watch. We get wowed by the amazing stuff they do on the TV. We also know some ballers are better than some, because despite how good Anthony can be, you can't put him on the same level with Neymar. And we can't start calling anyone who does a step over world class. Yeah, no. So today in this video, we're gonna dive into 7 classifications of footballers based on how good they are, and so we can get some clarity. So let's jump right in. First on the list of this classification, we have the average players. Yeah, they are the least in this classification, and basically every professional player, qualifies for this. I think every professional player is at least at the level of an average player. If you're below average, then you're not professional. So these players mostly come from the bench. They perform decent on their best days, and maybe if you take them to a lower league, they can perform better there. But that's just how they are. Uninteresting. Yeah. And next on the classification, we have good players. Obviously, these players are better than average. They are really good and can be real starters for lower teams. They can really perform great on their best days, but somewhat lack that consistency to be great. They serve as, good squad players for top teams. I'm talking people like Yamal, Wood, Alex Baena, Iñaki, even people like Lucas Vazquez. We know he's good, but we know he's not that good. So that's the dilemma with them. They just lack that consistency to be considered great players. Third on this list of classifications, we have the high potential players, aka the wonder kids. Yeah, these players show great potential from early on. They usually come from the academies, so they usually are aged between the age of 16 to 21. Also, they are really sought after. These players, scouts, kind of run scouting trials for them every single time, so they could find the next big thing. They're usually generational talents. We're talking people like Yamal, talking people like Stavio, talking people like Pedri, Gula, Gavi, and the list goes on. And most of the times they fail to reach that potential. Out of 10 wonder kids, we can agree that only 1 or 2, can reach their own potential. Talking about failed potential, we can talk about Grealish. Everybody knows how good he was when he was young. Talking about Freddie Adu, how much was expected, and less was gotten. So that's their own dilemma. Most of them don't fail to reach their own potential, which is sad to know. Next on this list, we have the great players. I like to call these players underrated. Most of the time, the performers are so great, but just go unnoticed. Yeah, these players have reached their potential. They're one of the best in their squad, in their team, and even starters. Yeah, they have great wages though. Yeah, sometimes they just lack that something special, to be considered world class. Not that they are not great players, but they're just underrated. I'm talking Vitinha, we're talking De Jong, talking Isaac, Bruno Guimaraes of Newcastle. These players, we know how good they are. We're talking about Olmo. Despite being the top scorer in the just concluded Euro 2024, yet we haven't been hearing world-class shouts about players like this. Talking about Lookman, basically won the African Best Player of the Year last season, but still we don't hear much talk about them. So these players, they're really great players. They have that. They can't even be considered world-class at times, but most of the times, they just get underrated. And number 5, we finally have the world class. This word has been thrown around the world of football, sometimes undeservedly. But, let me describe what a world-class player is. World-class players are one of the best in their positions in the world. You have to be like top 5 or top 3 in your position to be considered, world-class. Yeah, they're usually difference makers. They're players you go to when you're losing in a match. They have that personality and their mentality monsters. Oh yeah, they're also very popular with the people. They usually, trend on TikTok, trend on X or whatever. They're usually aged 25 above, but these days we see players, below 25 getting a world-class shout. People like Yamal, people consider them world-class already despite being below the age of 25. These players are usually Ballon d'Or contenders. I'm talking about Vinicius, Mbappe, Haaland, Bellingham. Most of the times they just make that Ballon d'Or top 30 list. They're one of the best players in the world, so yeah, they just have to be at that, level. Usually, it's really hard to stay consistent and be always considered world-class. I'm talking about somebody like Bruno Fernandes. A few years ago, he was definitely world-class. But, yeah, we all know the story. And number 6, we have the global superstars. Yeah, I also refer to these players as generational talent, generational players. These players have set the bar for the past 10 years. They have maintained their level. They have stayed world class for such a long time. And, I think they should be usually aged 30 and above. They have achieved everything. They have won everything. They have gotten the respect of the, footballing world. They are also very popular, really, really popular. They have been, world class for the past decade, as I've said. They'll be remembered for decades. Yeah, they have set records. I'm talking people like Lewandowski, Suarez, Modric, Ramos, Cruz, Xavi, Busquets, Henry, Iniesta. Yeah, these players, are generation. Anytime you remember them, you remember those impossible feats. I'm talking about Lewandowski, 5 goals in just a few minutes. That's just, impossible to do. They just have that, ability to do something that has never been done. And their names will always be remembered when remembering, one of the best strikers of, let's say, 21st century, one of the best midfielders of, the 90s. These are the kind of players, and they're really rare. They're really rare. After a generation, you won't find this kind of players like more than 5. So, yeah, they're really a rare breed. And finally, we have the GOAT level players. This category of players really draw a lot of debate, a lot of conversations that, go for basically ages. They are extremely rare. Believe me, they are extremely rare. If you're lucky, you can have probably 2 in your generations, just like we have Messi and Ronaldo. And that is really an anomaly. Yeah. We are talking about people like Messi, CR7, Pele, and Maradona. These players have changed the sport. These players are idolized, immortalized by the people following them. And they will be always remembered. Believe me, always remembered when we are talking about football. We're talking about Pele. Pele played football where, most of us weren't born, but people still talk about it. People like Maradona, I still see reels, I still see, TikToks about Maradona. And he's already long ago played in a different generation. But because of the things they've done, the things they have achieved, the impossible things they have done, it's just, sometimes it's just hard to imagine. How did Messi just win 8 Ballon d'Ors? It's just mind-blowing. I said they are extremely rare breed. I believe the GOAT level players don't really supersede 10, the whole history of football. Really good players miss out on this level. I'm talking about Iniesta, Xavi. They miss out on this GOAT level. That's to tell you how high this level is. Well, although I've heard, people calling Anthony the GOAT. Yeah. Now,